Hey Insider, today's going to be a bit of a deep topic as I'm going to be revealing 3 reasons why you have to accept pain if you want to be successful. And I'm going to be sharing a personal story I've not shared with a lot of people, even my parents. The reason being is I'm really ashamed of it. And the reason why I want to share this with you is because hopefully you take away the key lessons in regards to this. And I'm going to break down the 3 reasons afterwards, so you get to see the insights and how I grew as a result of this big failure in my life. So make sure to pay close attention. Now, today's video was inspired by one of my mentees who's on board Success Inside Academy, which is my private mentorship group where I educate my mentees every single month live on different areas of their life they have to master to create the life they're truly born to live. His name is Jonathan Smith, and he sent over this video and he asked this particular question. So let me just show you this video quickly.
Hey, this is Jonathan from Columbia, South Carolina. I hope you're doing well. I have a question for you, Tim. Pardon me for my hair being so messed up. I just got out of the gym. My question is, you talked to us about recovering from our fails and learning from them and moving on quickly and growing. What are some of the biggest fails that you've had that you can look back and say, that changed my life because you were able to learn from that and recover and be who you are today? I'd love to know that, because we all experience fails that we can improve on. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate your time.
So Jonathan, just want to say thank you so much for the video and great question. And you've inspired us basically today to produce this. So just want to say thank you so much. So I'm going to reveal firstly the story, and then I'm going to break down the reasons so you can kind of see how it all slots into place. So this story begins at high school. Now, for those of you who know my story, at middle school, I spent most of my life being bullied every single day. The reason being is I was the only Oriental kid in school at the time, and this was just when we freshly moved over from Seoul, South Korea. And as a result, I was a really easy victim. So when I joined high school, I told myself, I don't want to get bullied. I went through so much pain. And so I knew I had to change something. So what I began to change was the people I hung around with. So I became the bully, to put simply. I became one of those people who would take drugs, deal drugs, commit crime, you name it. I began to change the way I dress, the way I speak, and I became my negative self, my dark shadow. And as a result of that, I hated pretty much every single lesson in high school. I misbehaved, I got a lot of detentions, you name it. Now, there was this one lesson that I did enjoy, which basically, the reason being is it entailed my creativity and it allowed me to express myself freely, which was art. And the art tutor knew that I actually was behaving, and this was the only class that I would behave in. And so he began to give me more attention, and he began to reward that behavior. And so he began to give me more advice, more mentoring in regards to how I could get better grades during GCSEs, which is one of the examination periods here in England. Now, I didn't really care about the grades I was getting, but I did care about how I was going to make this. My final art piece was going to be this clay model that I was going to build. And I did care about how I wanted it to look. So I was focusing on it. I was listening to the tutor in regards to feedback he was giving me. Now, bear in mind, at the time, I was hanging around with very negative people. After school, would go and commit crime and so forth. Don't want to get too much in detail in regards to that. Now, what ended up happening is one day he said, Tim, for you to be able to get a pass grade, you've got to make sure you're putting in more time. I understand that for example, you're passionate about this, but the reality is you just have not put enough time. So what I'm willing to do is actually help you out here. And what he offered was to devote some of his personal time during lunch breaks, when he meant to be taking lunch, to help me out with this art piece. And so I agreed. I said, yeah, sure. And he gave me personal tutoring during lunch. Now, the first day, he invited me over to his art room, his big art room. Normally, this is where we'd be in the class. There'll be normally 30 of us here. So since it was during lunch, it was just me and him. He began to just share, things he would do in regards to this clay model that I was building and how I can improve it. And he said, oh, by the way, Tim, I'm just going to pop out just to grab a quick snack and I'll be back in around 10 minutes. And I said, okay, sure. Now, the moment he left, I did something that I'm seriously, I suppose, embarrassed of. The moment he left, the negative side of me got the better of me. At the time, I was involved with crime, and I saw that he'd left his bag. And inside the bag, I was wondering if there was any money or wallet or whatever. I didn't care about the fact that, we've developed this, I suppose, this trust with one another. I just thought maybe there's money. So I slowly got up, walked over to the bag, and began to rummage around inside. The moment I did that, all of a sudden, I look up and I hear the door opening. And he's looking at me, dead in the eye. And he said, "Tim, what are you doing?" And I didn't know what to say at the time. I was just caught red-handed. I said, "Oh, I was looking for a pen." And he knew exactly what I was doing. The reason why he came back so fast is because he forgot something in his bag. And he said to me, "Tim, I'm really disappointed. I think maybe you should go take your lunch." I remember during that lunchtime, I had time to reflect. And during that reflection, I began to question, who am I even becoming? I was brought up, to never, for example, steal, never commit crime. And yet, because I was so used to it because of my environment, this is who I was becoming, my dark shadow. And I tell you, it caused a lot of pain because my authentic self could feel the fact that I did something wrong. And this is when the 3 reasons that why you must accept pain to be successful, this is when it all connects. The first reason is feeling pain is a wake-up call. You see, I remember one of my friends shared this analogy once. He said, there's a story of a neighbor with a dog who was sat on a nail. And this dog was squealing, screeching every single day. And the guy who lived next door to this neighbor came over and said, "Hey, why is your dog screeching?" And the neighbor said, "Oh, it's sat on a nail." So the guy's scratching his head saying, "Why doesn't it move then?" And he turns around and says, "Oh, you see, the nail just hurts just enough that I'd rather sit on the nail because it'll be more effort to get off it." Most people in life, that's what they're going through. We are very good as human beings to adapting to our environment and circumstances. And this is why, for example, people don't finally lose weight until it's too late. This is why smokers smoke until it's too late, until their doctors say, "Hey, if you don't quit now, you're going to literally die." This is why we as human beings, we leave it to the last minute. Pain, when you begin to finally feel it, is the moment, for example, the demon you've been putting under the carpet begins to resurface. And this is when it began to resurface in my life. When I was reflecting then, I was just like, what am I doing? Pain is a wake-up call in regards to the fact that there needs to be something that needs to be changed. And that was the moment I decided to change. I told myself I'm never going to steal again. And I've not done so for the last 10 years. I've not, stolen from people. It's the last thing I would ever do. And in fact, the reason, because I went through all of that, is the reason why today I would love to contribute and give in regards to, for example, Success Insider was for me was a wake-up call in the sense that either calling beginning of 2016 to start contributing, start giving advice in regards to how I managed to transform my life through online businesses and all of the stuff I've been involved with. And so I began to share my advice, and quickly after it became a viral sensation. And that all as a result of, if you think about it, if I connect the dots looking backwards, as Steve Jobs says, as Steve Jobs, he's famously once said, you can't connect the dots looking forwards, only backwards. When I begin to connect the dots backwards, I realized if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be here. If I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be, for example, speaking on stages today and wanting to contribute my time to, empower people, to give people advice. If I hadn't gone through that today, I wouldn't be where I am. And that goes perfectly onto the second reason, which is pain allows you to grow. Provided that you do not resist it, you allow it to basically guide you, you'll see where the areas of growth needs to happen. You see, the moment I went through that, I knew the fact that I've been focusing so much on negativity, so much on problems. I was seeing so much problems in my life. After all, what you focus on expands. And when I used to hang around negative people, we just talk about negativity every single day. As a result, I had loads of problems in my life. Now, going through the experience I went through, I knew I had to change, so I began to immerse myself, for example, in personal development. I began to immerse myself in reading more books and all of that stuff. I began to grow. You see, as human beings, we don't grow when we're sitting on the beach sipping margaritas. We grow when we're tested. We grow when we're down on our luck. We grow when the winds of life are strong. As the great saying goes, the strongest trees don't grow in the best soil. It grows in the strongest winds. So sometimes you do have to align with something that's maybe higher beyond yourself and realize it's happening for a reason. And provided that you're not going to go back to, for example, whatever that thing is, I believe life will never serve us the deck of cards in the order it is without a particular reason in regards to why it's been served that way. And if we're able to flow with that and fully embrace that, I believe that's when true magic happens. Because every single problem I've had in my life, failures, has shaped me into the person I believe I'm born to be and born to become. So every single one, I'm asking myself, what can I learn? How can I grow, improve? Whenever, for example, life is testing me, I'm asking myself, what is life trying to shape me into now? Who does life want me to become now? And when I allow it to shape me, that's when magic happens. You see, life consists of polar opposites. Like it or not, it's the masculine and feminine, the yin and the yang, the up and the down, the north and the south, the hot and the cold. So whatever you're going through, you have to realize every single one of you watching right now, you're going to go through pain. The question is when life knocks you over, which is inevitable, what are you going to do about it? Because being knocked over is inevitable. Life will do that. The question is though, what are you going to do when you're knocked over? Are you going to get back up? Because that is a choice. We as human beings, we've got a choice. Do we stay there or do we move forwards? And I'm so grateful for the fact that I decided to move forwards. I realized I screwed up. I realized the fact that I betrayed trust. And today, this is why I want to be able to contribute and give back because of the things I went through. And today, for me, I've learned so much in regards to trust. And this is why, for example, we've had a lot of people, a lot of brands reaching out to Success Insider, wanting me to endorse like journals, pens. And unless I personally used it, even though they're, for example, offering thousands of dollars for like a couple seconds of shout out, I declined them. Why? Because one of the things I learned from one of my mentors is it can take 20 years to build up trust, but trust can be broken in 2 seconds. Trust can be broken in 2 seconds. Every single one of you insiders, I care about you. I don't want to recommend something that I haven't personally used. That doesn't work. And that's what I've learned from that. So realize the second reason is about growth. You got to embrace the growth. Life is trying to grow you into the person you're born to become so you can live the life you're born to. That's what it's all about. Let's go on to the final reason, which is pain helps you to recognize pleasure. Unless there was the polarity of life, we would not recognize what the good life is if we've not gone through the bad. And this is what I'm talking about here. When we have the full trust of life's wind, how it's shaping us in every single moment, when we trust in that process and we don't resist it, that's when magic happens. But I find most people out there, the moment they feel pain, they begin to try to escape it. But realize there's a lesson to it. There's a reason why you will feel pain. Now, I'm not talking about, by the way, if you're wondering, I'm not talking about psychological pain, which may be depression, what it may be. I do suggest that you go seek professionals if you're in that case. But I'm talking about, for those of you high achievers, entrepreneurs going through hell right now, realize there's a lesson to be learned. Realize also, staying down is a choice. The question is, with every single person who depends on you, with every single person who looks up to you, are you willing to make yourself stay down? Are you willing to let them down as well? Because realize, your success doesn't just make you successful. When, for example, you create a big business, it's serving people. The question is, are you willing to sacrifice all of the people you could have helped? Are you willing to sacrifice for example, the family that relies on you? Are you willing to sacrifice the people who rely on you? People who will be at the end of it all saying thank you. Thank you for changing my life. Thank you for providing the great products and services. Because for me, when I think about that, I realize this journey is not about us. This journey is about our willingness to contribute, our willingness to serve. And provided you truly own that, I believe that's when life becomes effortless. That's when you can trust the processes and realize the full meaning of everything happens for a reason. Because that's a mantra that's chucked around nowadays. And, you know, the irony is people say everything happens for a reason when everything's going good. When it becomes really bad, people are like, oh, I wish it wasn't happening, right? But there's a gift. There's a gift in every event. In fact, if you go through previous things you've gone through in your life, what you realize is you'll realize the biggest growth happened in your life when you were tested. The things you've gone through in your life that's significant, you're often looking back and saying to yourself, thank goodness I went through that, otherwise I won't be here. And, you know, you maybe think about bad relationships, things you've gone through, lessons. Because if I hadn't gone through the drug phase, maybe I might take in drugs right now. There's a gift to every event. There's a gift to everything. And that's what I'm going to realize. It might just be wrapped in a paper you may not be satisfied with. So provided that you're willing to trust and unravel it, that's when you can realize it's a blessing in disguise. And that's what I want you to realize, Insider. It's hard. Life is hard. But provided that you embrace it like no other, provided that you fell forwards and realize problems are often blessing in disguise, you're able to create the life you're truly born to live. Just want to say thank you so much for tuning in today. And Jonathan, thanks so much for the question. And if you found today's video helpful, be sure to share this video with your friends and loved ones. And if you've got any personal questions, or if you want to find out more, for example, about Success Inside Academy, which is a private mentorship group, be sure to follow the link that's going to appear up above right now or in the description box below. Insider, just want to say like this video if you like this video. And as always, my friend, follow your heart and take action. And let's go create the life you're truly born to live. I'll see you on the next video soon. Take care.